Hello, everybody. I am back again. This is the coding coach, of course, MJ, the coding coach. I am back here today to talk to you about Modifier 51. Now, there are a lot of people that are taking their CPC, Certified Professional Coder exams. A lot of people has already taken the exams. Just a lot of people coding period, of course, and they're not really understanding Modifier 51 and when to apply this modifier to CPT codes. So, I am here today to try to give you a better understanding of when to use Modifier 51. So before I get into Modifier 51, its usage or when not to use it, I want to go ahead and start with a few definitions that you'll hear me say, or a few words that you'll hear me say later on in this video or in this voiceover or audio. And I want to thoroughly explain what those definitions are, so when you get to them, you're already fully aware of what I'm talking about. So let's first start with what is a modifier. A modifier is used to supplement the information or adjust descriptions to provide extra details concerning a procedure or service provided by a physician. Code modifiers help further describe a procedure code without changing its description. So basically, in layman's terms, or to break it down, a modifier is a two-digit number, or it can be letters like a LT or RT, meaning left or right. Modifiers are added to CPT codes, and they're added to CPT codes not to change the meaning of the CPT code, but to further explain what's going on with this specific service or this specific procedure. So, RVU. RVU is a relative value unit. This is like each procedure that's performed, it has a cost attached to it. And this cost is a measurement of the provider's productivity. So this is the RVU is currently used to determine the amount of reimbursement to providers. So let's also talk about add-on codes. So an add-on code describes a significant supplemental service commonly performed in addition to a primary code. So add-on codes cannot be used alone. Hence, that's why it's called add-on code, because you're going to add it on to something else. So let's get into the video about Modifier 51. So Modifier 51 is about multiple procedures. If you open up your HCPCS book, if you open up your CPT book to the very first page when you open your book, to the left, those are your modifiers listed there. There are symbols or icons listed that help you navigate through the CPT book, and there is a complete list of all the modifiers that could be possibly used in healthcare. So you're going to use Modifier 51 when two or more procedures are performed. So I'll probably say a few things a couple of times just to make sure it's drilled in your mind. So Modifier 51 is used when two or more procedures are performed. Now, this modifier is not to be used when a procedure is performed along with the E&M service. And you'll use a modifier 25 for that. So I made a video. If you go back and look through the modifiers video, you'll see that I talked about modifier 25 and when to use that. So to report Modifier 51 correctly, the coder should list the procedure with the highest RVU, which is the most reimbursement, first. Use Modifier 51 on the second and third or the subsequent services with the lower RVU, which is the lowest paying. So let me give you an example. So let's say an oncologist performs an excision of a malignant skin lesion. During this treatment, a separate skin lesion is discovered, which the physician thinks deserves closer attention. So after getting consent from the patient to perform a second procedure, the physician performs a biopsy of the new site. So what codes would be used? So first we will use code 12031, which is a wound closure. Because after the biopsy, that's when they're getting a test of the lesion or the cancer or whatever it is, to test it to see if it's cancerous, if it's not, if it's, uncertain or whatever it is. So after getting consent from the patient to perform a second procedure, and that's what we know the second procedure is the biopsy. So the next code we will use, in addition to 12031, which is the wound closure, we will use code 11600. And then we will put the modifier 51 on that code. That code is excision of malignant lesion. So we know we excised a malignant lesion, or a malignant lesion was excised, so we'll use that code. So the next code that we will use for this example would be 11100 with the 51 modifier appended or added. And that's the biopsy of skin of single lesion. So let me give you another example. So let's say an OBGYN's patient is 10 weeks pregnant and scheduled an appointment due to vaginal bleeding. After explanation and ultrasound, the physician decides the patient is having a miscarriage and recommends immediate treatment. Now, the patient also requests the replacement of an IUD. The placement of an IUD. The OBGYN performs a surgical completion of the miscarriage and then inserts the requested IUD during pregnancy. So the codes that we will use for this would be 58912, would be incomplete abortion completed surgically. And then, which has the highest RVU, that's why that would go first. Then we will put 58300 with the modifier 51, and that code is insertion of IUD. And then we will append the ultrasound code, which is 76817. So, of course, there are rules for applying the modifier 51, and the rules for applying the modifier 51 may vary depending on your state. So make sure you stay abreast of any upcoming changes and payer requirements in order for claims to get approved or anything like that. So let me give you the rundown of when to use modifier 51. So these three scenarios here, if you see these three scenarios on your CPC exam, then you know that using modifier 51 is absolutely correct. So if there are different procedures performed at the same session, modifier 51. A single procedure performed multiple times at different sites, modifier 51. A single procedure performed multiple times at the same site, modifier 51. So, understanding modifiers is very important to passing your coding exams. If you don't know when to add or append the appropriate modifiers, then more than likely your answers are going to be wrong on the exam. And of course, wrong answers equal not enough points to pass the exam. So as you're studying your CPT book, as you're studying your CPT codes, make sure that you run over the most used modifiers. And I'll let you know, just in my experience of coding, I always see modifiers 25, modifiers 50, 51, 77. So it's just, and also it really depends on the specialty that you're working in, because some modifiers cannot be used for other specialties and things like that. So it also depends on your specialty, and that'll determine how often you see certain modifiers. So I wanted to come and bring you this modifier 51 video today. I hope this was very, very resourceful and very helpful to you understanding modifier 51 to pass your exam. So don't forget to like, to comment, and subscribe so you can be on the lookout for more videos to come. Also, leave your comments in the comment section if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.